The P is the symbol of the Potter Group of companies. Represented by 6 trading companies which offer a nationwide transport, warehousing and packaging service, the group has built up over the last 21 years to be one of the leading UK private companies in their field, and at the same time generating a successful corporate enterprise for which the byword is quality of service. Let's look back to see how it all started in 1965. Funded by a maturing insurance policy and a considerate father, the 3 Potter boys, Terry, Derek and Colin, formed the Topcliffe Transport Company, which started trading on the 1st of September 1965 with 1 truck. Derek, while working as an agricultural representative for Kenneth Wilson Grain Limited of Leeds, realised the need for transportation facilities in the grain trade. In this modest way, the Potter Group was born. The truck, a 10-ton carrying capacity Bedford, carried bulk or bagged grain and fertiliser. They commenced operating with a C licence, which meant they were on contract to Kenneth Wilson Grain Limited. Topcliffe Transport Company operated from the Grange, Baldersby Park, Topcliffe. After the first 18 months, it was decided to replace the Bedford with a 6-wheel Albion Reaver, capable of carrying 12 tons, either bulk or bagged product. It became evident that eventually they would have to operate with an A licence, enabling them to carry any commodity throughout the country for hire and reward. Without one, they couldn't bring return loads, other than for Kenneth Wilson Grain Limited. They bought 2 A licences in 1968. This now enabled them to buy their first articulated Atkinson tractor unit, powered by the famous and well-tried Gardner 180 engine, registration number OAJ 999G. This tractor has covered about 1.5 million miles and is still used at their Selby depot as a shunter. 2 years later, a second Atkinson Gardner engine tractor unit was bought. Here it's seen transporting an unusual load, 4 gliders from Switzerland to the UK, which weighed only 1 ton. Early in 1972, the Ministry of Defence put onto the market a site of 41.5 acres, including warehouses. After extensive negotiations, Derek purchased the site, which is now Melmerby Industrial Estate. With 300,000 square feet of covered warehousing and no experience, how was he going to fill the space and make enough money to pay back the bank? He felt that he would not be able to utilise all the space, and so he decided to form an industrial estate. Hence the name, Melmerby Industrial Estate Limited. The old guardhouse at the entrance to the site was used as an office block, and after a few years, this building was built around to form a new group headquarters office. Their first storage job was for ICI, for the storage and handling of fertiliser, which in the early days meant handling it all by hand onto pallets. ICI have now updated the whole of their factories to produce automatic palletised shrink-wrapped fertiliser. In 1973, they were awarded the contract for the transport and storage of the wire to make the main cable for the largest suspension bridge in the world, the Humber Bridge. 11,000 tons of wire was carried from Rylands Whitecross on Teesside and stored in 46,000 square feet at Melmerby. The pristine condition of the wire was maintained by using a special stacking pattern, airtight polythene and dehumidifiers. To handle the straps which hold the roadway to the main cable, a mobile crane was purchased capable of lifting 12 tons. Topcliffe Transport delivered all these products to the 2 sites of Barton-on-Humber and Hessel. Here we see the start of the main cable being constructed on site. Now we see the main cable being formed, which had an outer casing of special protective wire wound round about it. The first road section is seen attached to the main cable. Each of these road sections weighs approximately 250 tons each. The view from the top of one of the 500-foot towers looking down onto the construction of the roadway below. We were delighted to have played our part in the building of such a fine example of British engineering as the Humber Bridge. In 1975, a new grain drying plant was installed at Melmerby, enabling farmers to have their grain dried and stored to be sold later at a higher price. They started construction during April and had to keep to a tight schedule, for the complete programme had to be finished by the 22nd of July. It was completed 3 days ahead of schedule. Not bad, seeing all the construction, including the dryer, had been carried out by their own staff. Several new operations were now being carried out, and the number of vehicles entering the site on a daily basis was increasing all the time. Therefore, improvements to the roadways had to be carried out in order to carry this extra weight. At this time, we encouraged our customers to hold open days, enabling them to bring their clients to inspect our facilities and discuss the services we had to offer. The plan of the site shows storage facilities which now handle in excess of 1,000 tons a day. Topcliffe Transport had outgrown their depot at Rainton, so it was decided to build a new garage at Melbourne. This incorporated the latest maintenance facilities, a brake tester for cars or heavy trucks, new oil storage with metering equipment for filling engines of the vehicles after servicing. Waste oil was automatically sent into an underground receiving tank. Two different-sized pits were constructed so that maintenance could easily be carried out on heavy commercial trucks or forklifts, and loading shovels, which were used on the storage side of the business. A new commercial paint shop, which had a hot air system enabling the vehicles to be painted quickly, was installed. A new commercial vehicle wash was built, which was designed to clean all types of trailers and at the same time wash their chassis by using high-power jets sited under the roadway. By now, the main flow of traffic was from Teesside to the North London area. It was necessary to establish a small base at Ketton, near Stamford, so that they could start a trunking operation sending loaded trailers overnight to Ketton, the goods for distribution into North London the following day. The return loads to Teesside and Newcastle were brought back during the night for delivery the following day, then reloaded for the return trip. This operation doubled the annual tonnage. During the latter part of 1978, it was decided to open a full-time base in the Ketton area. They advertised for a transport company and eventually purchased G.G. Papworth Limited on the 1st of April 1979. Their main transport activities were in canned food for Cadbury's, TKM and bricks for London Brick. A new security fence was built around the 3.5-acre site. The construction of a new yard capable of carrying a modern fleet of trucks was undertaken, enabling them to expand and handle a new range of products for their customers. The servicing of their own vehicles was carried out at Mearside. In order to bring Papworth's traffic into line with Topcliffe Transport, the trunk operation was transferred from Ketton to Papworth's Mearside, and new bulk trailers were purchased. Also, in the early part of 1979, they decided to look for a depot on the other side of the country, near Birmingham. The former premises of the Ministry of Defence, now Ardingcross, came onto the market, and it was bought at auction. They now had another 184,000 square feet of covered warehouse space. The extent of their bank borrowing now placed great pressure on them to perform. Surprisingly, they managed to increase their profits at Melmaby, and, at the same time, to succeed in filling some of the space at Ardingcross. Two of their new customers there were British Sugar and Black & Decker. They managed to attract new customers from the storage and handling of reels of paper, steel, to the specialized storage of agrochemicals. Their nationwide distribution service was offered to all their customers. Here we see their own fire engine being given a regular check and service. It's manned by trained staff. We now see the plan and layout of storage buildings on the 38-acre site at Ardingcross. By 1981, the financial position improved to the extent that they were able to buy the former British sugar factory at Ely, their biggest challenge yet. The 120-acre site of derelict buildings and old machinery included only 80,000 square feet of warehousing. An agreement was reached with British Sugar, whereby they removed some of the useful pieces of sugar-making equipment which could be utilized in other factories. This site was connected to the main rail network, so they purchased a small shunting locomotive with the intention of promoting the rail freight side of the business. Here we see it arriving on site. Part of the old rail system was updated with a Section 8 grant. It was officially opened by the then chairman of British Rail, Sir Peter Parker, on the 27th of October 1982. Luckily, Cleveland Potash started the ball rolling. Here we see some of their product arriving, and at a later date, some of their material being reloaded onto a special train. A satisfied customer. A soda ash train arriving in the sidings, followed by the discharge of the trucks into the appropriate store. Old equipment had to be removed from the former pulp dryer building, and new reinforced concrete walls were built to create 3 new warehouses. It was then re-roofed. Here we see the first lorry tipping in one of the stores. During an open day, ICI Fertilizer demonstrate the handling and emptying of their new dump bags, which hold 3/4 of a ton of fertilizer. Some of the ICI products also arrive by rail, and here we see it in store. Part of the old rail track being replaced and updated under the Section 8 scheme. A second loco was purchased to deal with the heavy train loads of materials now arriving at Ely. The loco's first job was the unloading of agricultural lime, which was then delivered to our local farmers. More potash arriving. And being unloaded. Now, this is the area where BSC used to store the sugar beet when it arrived from the farms. All the machinery had to be removed, including the demolition of the reinforced concrete overhead roadway. This was a major task, but with the site cleared, it then enabled them to build a new grain store. The largest building on the site was 360 feet long and 70 feet high to the ridge. It was jam-packed with machinery. One item weighed 200 tons. It had 4 floors and was covered in parts with asbestos. All this had to be removed. And the building had to be refurbished. So that it could be utilized for the storage of grain. And now you see the renovated building. At this time, the new fire engine arrived. The site has seen a great deal of change, with the refurbishment of old buildings and the provision of new storage, together with improvements to the rail system. We now move on to Selby Storage and Freight Company Limited. This was the former British sugar factory, which was offered to them in early 1983. A deal was struck, and they purchased the whole site, taking occupation in August. Improvements to the entrance had to be made, including a new security fence around the whole site. Here we see some of the buildings both inside and out, before and after alterations had been complete. The site is alongside the River Ouse, which is navigable by 1,200-ton payload ships. This site is connected by rail to the main rail network, so here they're purchasing Hercules, now repainted into their corporate colours. Now we see some of the first rail trucks arriving in our sidings. The rail tanks are being loaded with molasses from the storage tanks. Fertilizer being unloaded. Grain being loaded. Palletized goods arriving from the continent and being put into store and checked. Other bagged products in store. Outside operations include handling waste lime out to local farms, and the stockpiling and handling of coal. Here we see an operation which they undertook by taking in salt in 20-ton containers. It was then screened to form 3 grades of product, 2 grades for the fertilizer industry, and the majority went to the local councils for use on the roads. The rail system is now being used daily, particularly in the handling of Guinness from Park Royal London, which they distribute in the Yorkshire area on taut-liner trailers. The new large bulk store. The new fire engine, with a keen crew now being commissioned. The plan of the site, the newly built grain store and the rail track. Let's take a look at a typical busy Monday of the various activities carried out within the group. How do these various activities get coordinated on a daily basis and also long-term planning? The group structure is as follows. Derek Potter, Managing Director. Mick Worley, Group Transport Director. Colin Watt, Group Storage Director. Walter Bateson, Group Financial Controller. Harry Frost, Melmaby Industrial Estate Site Manager. Brian Wood, Ardingcross Site Manager. Rex Lane, G.G. Papworth Storage Manager. David Northcote, Selby Storage and Freight. The future development of Selby is ideally situated for the building of a wharf, together with a turning basin, so that they could handle large ships which could then easily be turned in the river. This site, with rail, water and road transport together with packaging and storage facilities, will be ideally suited to go into the future and service their many customers. The future, in moving large tonnages of cheap material by train, depends upon the ability to unload a trainload of material such as aggregate weighing 1,200 tons within a 2-hour period. This then enables the British Rail loco to wait while the trucks are emptied, and as a result, they can carry out 5 trips each week, or perhaps even more, if night unloading were carried out. They see this as a very important facility to provide at both Ely and Selby in the not-too-distant future. This will also give great financial benefits to other rail customers when this system is used for unloading their rail trucks even more quickly. The group is now well placed to offer a wide variety of services, enabling their customers to look forward to a successful future. Their enthusiastic and efficient workforce have become a formidable team who enjoy solving other people's problems and are keen to give a good service. Their aim is to provide a personal service to all their customers.